Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. We've got a new piece on Palantir from Channel 4 News in the UK, which is part of a British broadcast system, that did a piece on what's going on in Ukraine, what's going on with AI and military warfare, and how Palantir, I was surprised to say, but they spent some time talking about Palantir and what Palantir is doing. The title is How the Russia-Ukraine War is Supercharging AI Warfare. Let's get into it. I have not seen the piece. I've seen that they talked about Palantir here and there, but I've not fully seen the 8 minutes of this. So this is interesting because it's in the UK and they're covering Palantir. And so, the UK doesn't have the best opinion of Palantir. We'll see if they can get this NHS deal. But here's what they had to say about Russia, Ukraine, AI warfare, and what Palantir's role is in it.
The use of AI systems making decisions about who lives and dies completely changes the entire frameworks on which we base war.
As AI redefines our world,
AI, artificial intelligence,
a new type of warfare is emerging, and we're seeing it take shape on the battlefields of Ukraine. With superpowers battling for AI supremacy, many experts fear we're hurtling towards an unstoppable arms race.
The worst case scenario is that warfare is accelerated to a point where nobody can control what is going on.
Is it too late to rein in the rise of artificial intelligence?
War has a particular set of dynamics. Bluff, retreat, advance. All of these things were true 12,000 years ago when we were fighting in bands of hunter-gatherers, and they're true now as we're lobbing hypersonic missiles at each other.
To the untrained eye, Ukraine looks a lot like any major land war of the past century. But look closer, and there's one transformative factor in this conflict: operational speed.
One way of describing AI in weapon systems is automation. And the reason we want automation in weapon systems is because it makes them faster. And in war, if you can do things quicker than your enemy, then you're at a huge advantage.
And that's the bull case for Palantir software on the battlefield, is that if you can get insights from your data quicker and faster than the enemy, you can beat the enemy. That's the entire point of their software being compared to a tactical nuclear weapon, because it lets you kill things, get rid of things quicker if you have the insights and data to do that.
Let's use artillery as an example. Russia has more guns, and they've used their firepower advantage to blanket Ukrainian positions. But Kyiv says it's countering Russia's numerical advantage by being nimble, quick, and accurate. And it's made possible, they say, by artificial intelligence.
So that's the big thing in this video, right? The quickness and the accuracy of Ukraine is outweighing the kind of throw spaghetti at the wall approach that Russia has, and it's because of AI.
Ukraine and their Western allies are constantly gathering a live feed of images from thousands of drones and satellites, intel from spies working behind enemy lines, as well as videos and pictures shared by ordinary Ukrainians to a government chatbot and on social media.
Intelligence analysis is effectively pattern spotting. And pattern spotting is something that AI systems are really, really, really good at.
Instead of human analysts trawling through this massive data, AI models trained to find objects of interest in images are constantly processing it all to build an intelligence picture of Russian positions.
They have an image, run it through an AI system, and it will tell them accurately where the enemy tank is, for example.
After AI models identify a potential target, that information is sent to a Ukrainian military commander who decides whether to attack. This US tech company claims their AI is the digital brain of Ukraine's targeting system.
There we go, that's Palantir.
Palantir was co-founded by billionaire Peter Thiel in the wake of the Iraq War and works closely with the US military using data and AI to locate targets. Now they've released details of their next-generation AI platform.
AIP unleashes the power of large language models and cutting-edge AI.
They say this tool will be like a military chatbot, offering commanders real-time strategic advice from simple inputs.
Generate 3 courses of action to target this enemy equipment.
The AI system will analyze a battlefield and offer options for the best plan of attack based on the data.
Generate a route from Team Omega to the enemy equipment.
So, critical decisions which may have taken hours in the past might now be made in a matter of minutes.
Again, that AIP defense video, it still blows my mind. The fact that you could just put in inputs, and because of their LLM and their technologies connected with the ontology, they're able to give you real predictive simulations and answers is just insane.
Destroy the enemy equipment.
The company says their systems will act ethically and within the law, require human oversight, and crucially, cannot independently carry out an attack. But the technology to build fully autonomous weapons already exists. And with speed a decisive factor in battle, some fear platforms like AIP are another step towards making machines the ultimate decision makers in war.
If a serious shooting war starts and one side is using AI systems to make quick decisions about who's killed, the pressure will be on the other side to immediately adopt those style of systems as well, because otherwise they will get wiped out. In the future, when you have AI systems competing against each other, we don't really know what war is going to look like. That is such a huge unknown.
Palantir's CEO says the West risks falling behind its rivals if they don't supercharge their investment in artificial intelligence. Not everyone is convinced, though.
To go as far as to say whoever has the most powerful AI will have a superpower, if you will, I think that's going a little too far. And it's a very useful narrative for those, of course, who want to sell the technology.
There's also doubt about whether these cutting-edge systems can deliver on the hype in the chaos and confusion of battle.
There's a very shiny, very futuristic idea. If we have enough data and we have enough AI, problems of the world will be solved. The reality on the ground is that most military organizations operate with limited resources.
Underneath the
I think that's actually the counter argument for what you're saying. If you have limited resources, if you have more data, then you can be more strategic with those limited resources versus wasting them. So, yeah, I think her argument, her argument is like, oh, you want to sell the technology. Again, if there is going to be war, then technology needs to be used. It's not a question of if you want to sell it. It's a question of, hey, this is happening. What do we use to be able to make sure the right side wins?
slick visuals and PR, at the heart of any AI model is data. And without enough clean data, AI systems make mistakes.
Getting reliable data about a messy and highly dynamic context of conflict is very, very difficult. There's always a margin of error in AI systems. To bring these systems into a realm in which matters of life and death are at stake strikes me as irresponsible at this point.
The interesting thing is that if humans are, it's like the Tesla FSD argument, if humans are worse at making decisions and launching attacks and all this stuff because humans tend to get it wrong, look at all the civilian casualties we've had over the past couple of decades, and AI is slightly better, and that saves more lives because a computer is better, way better than humans, then again, technology disproves the kind of point of her argument there.
The problem of trustworthiness has not been solved. The problem of reliability has not been solved. A measure of caution is required.
But the demand for ever more powerful AI products has caused Palantir's stock price to soar. And they're not the only ones. Artificial intelligence is projected to add trillions of dollars to the global economy in a few short years. And no country wants to be the one left behind. The US National Security Commission told its military to invest tens of billions of dollars in AI. China has laid out plans to be the world's leader in artificial intelligence by 2030. And Vladimir Putin says whoever gains a monopoly in AI will, in his words, be the ruler of the world.
These are the words of a megalomaniac. The reality is that the enemy has a vote, and if you are trying to develop these systems to dominate the world, well then so are they. So we're in a classic arms race situation.
So, is it too late to avoid an age of AI conflict? For years, scientists and tech leaders have been warning about the dangers of AI in autonomous weapons, and the UN has tried to get members to agree on how to regulate so-called killer robots without success so far, though. But with a wave of powerful new AI tools recently released, international lawmakers are now scrambling to put up guardrails.
If you think war is bad now, you should try it without legal and ethical frameworks. If an AI system kills civilians, who is it that then goes up against the War Crimes Tribunal?
Without clear accountability, experts fear the worst.
An AI system can only identify objects, and in this objectification is also a sense of dehumanization. We know from the history of warfare and the history of violence that the more dehumanization plays a role in a conflict, the greater the atrocities committed.
The world has faced existential threats from devastating weaponry before, though, and countries have pulled themselves back from the brink with negotiations and treaties. The same focus and cooperation will be needed to stop the AI arms race from spiraling out of control.
We have lots of experience of how these arms races end. They either end in both sides realizing that it's gone too far and they cannot control the systems, or they end in catastrophic war.
Okay, there you go. This is actually a decent piece by Channel 4. Look, I think the concerns they're bringing up around AI are incredibly important. I mean, these are things that are actually happening. These are things that we have to be accountable for and think about. I think these are things that will get resolved over time as technology gets better, data gets better, tracking gets better. All of this stuff is a question of innovation. It's not a question of going back in time, because if AI is giving Ukraine their ability to maintain their sovereignty, that's a good thing. The interesting thing is they highlight a lot of Karp's kind of core thesis around how the United States needs to invest, because when you take a look at this video, he's not joking, man. Russia and China are absolutely trying to have their AI weaponry and their systems and their software be up to par with what the West has. And if they do, and they've got more supplies than everyone, right? That's why we're giving so much money to Ukraine, because they don't have as many supplies as Russia, and their targeting is better from a software perspective, which currently it's not. You've got a really dangerous situation. And so it's inevitable that the world's going to get more geopolitical or more deglobalized, which will lead to more geopolitical conflict. So then the question becomes, what software is there and whose hand is it in? Palantir, the West, the United States, to be able to ensure that democracy prevails and not authoritarianism. President Biden actually just talked to Fareed Zakaria, I believe, on CNN last night. I would highly recommend people take a listen to it. It's about 20 minutes. He was actually very competent. Biden tends to not be the most cohesive. This was 20 minutes of him actually speaking without stuttering and stuff of that nature. And, he was talking about what's going on in Ukraine and China, and like why we have certain systems in place and who is going to have the best technology and why he's approving these weapons. And whether you agree with it or don't agree with it, the point is, like, there's a lot of money going into this, because at the end of the day, the right side needs to win. It cannot be a dictatorial regime. It has to be democracy. It has to be Western values, or at least it has to come to some type of conclusion that doesn't allow one country to completely be invaded by another one. And so if that's the case, from a business side, there is going to be a lot of money going into defense spending across the entire world, much less Ukraine. And Palantir has had the greatest case study of all time in terms of what they're doing helping Ukraine, because they needed to help Ukraine. And they didn't do it for money, because they gave the software for free. So every sort of profit incentive here has gone out the window, because they realized, look, this is what actually matters. We're a mission-driven company. Eventually we'll make money off of this, but in the meantime, we don't need to negotiate a contract. We can just give the software and make sure that the software is being used to the best of its ability. So very interesting stuff going on in Ukraine with Palantir. Thanks so much for listening, watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I will see you guys in the next one.